I used to have a complicated financial system, a spreadsheet with 14 categories, 4 different savings accounts with specific purposes, a color-coded budget I updated every Sunday, a list of financial goals with subcategories and timelines, and quarterly reviews. I did this for 2 years. My net worth barely moved. The system was not the problem. The complexity was the problem. I was spending so much energy maintaining the structure that I had almost none left for the actual decisions. And most of the decisions the system was designed to guide were ones I should not have been making monthly in the first place. My name is David. Today, I am going to give you the minimalist money rules I wish I had started with, the ones that replace a complicated system with a small number of decisions that run automatically and produce better outcomes than most sophisticated financial plans. The core principle behind minimalist money management is this: every financial decision you make actively is a decision you might make badly. Every financial system that requires your ongoing attention is a system that can fail when your attention is elsewhere. The goal is not to optimize every dollar. The goal is to structure your financial life so that the right things happen automatically and the wrong things require effort to do. This is the opposite of how most people manage money. Most people let spending happen automatically and saving require effort. Minimalist money management reverses that. Rule 1, one number. Most people who budget track many numbers: rent, groceries, utilities, dining, entertainment, subscriptions, clothing, transportation, personal care. The categories multiply until maintaining the budget becomes a part-time job. The minimalist alternative is one number. Your monthly spending allowance after all fixed obligations and savings contributions are removed. Here is how it works. On payday, 3 things happen automatically. Fixed expenses are covered: rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments. Savings contributions transfer automatically to their destinations. What remains in your checking account is your spending number for the month. You can spend that number however you want. You do not track categories. You do not evaluate individual purchases against subcategories. You watch one number, the account balance, and you keep it above zero. This is not less responsible than a 14-category budget. It is more effective for most people because it removes the friction of maintenance and the cognitive load of constant evaluation. The simplification works because the important decisions, how much goes to savings, how much covers fixed expenses, are made once and run automatically. The remaining decision, how to spend the discretionary balance, requires only basic awareness of one number. Rule 2. Automate savings before you see the money. The most reliable saving strategy is not willpower. It is not discipline. It is not motivation. It is timing. When the savings transfer happens before you can spend the money, the same day the paycheck arrives, the money never registers as available. The brain does not experience it as a loss. The lifestyle adjusts to the post-transfer balance as if that were always the full paycheck. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research on automatic enrollment in retirement savings plans found that when savings are automatic, participation rates rise from under 40% to over 90%, with no change in income and no change in stated savings goals. The mechanism is not psychological motivation. It is structural removal of the decision point. A man named Elliot, 33, had been trying to save $200 per month for 2 years by transferring whatever was left over at the end of the month. His average actual savings over those 2 years was $61 per month. There was almost never anything left. He switched to an automatic transfer of $200 on the day his paycheck hit. His savings rate immediately became $200 per month without any change in income. The money that previously disappeared into discretionary spending was simply no longer available to disappear. The minimalist savings architecture has 3 automatic transfers: retirement contributions to a 401k or IRA, an emergency fund contribution until the target is reached, a goal account for the next medium-term goal, a down payment, a car, a trip, Everything else is the spending number. Rule 3. Own fewer financial products. Most middle-class earners accumulate financial products over time without a deliberate strategy. A 401k from the current job. An old 401k from the previous job sitting unconsolidated. A savings account at the bank from college. A second savings account opened for a specific purpose and forgotten. A credit card opened for a sign-up bonus. 2 more credit cards acquired over time. Each product requires some attention. Each one has a login. Each one has an account number. Each one represents a surface area where fees can accumulate quietly and inactivity can cause problems. The minimalist account structure is 1 checking account, 1 high-yield savings account at a different bank, 1 Roth IRA or traditional IRA, 1 401k if available through an employer. If there are old accounts from previous employers, roll them into the current 401k or IRA as soon as possible. The simplification has a direct financial benefit beyond reduced complexity. An unconsolidated 401k from a previous employer is typically invested in a default allocation that was appropriate 5 years ago, is not being actively monitored, and may be in higher fee funds than what is available in the current employer's plan. Rolling it over takes 2 to 4 hours once. Leaving it where it is costs money indefinitely. A woman named Vanessa, 36, ran a full account audit. She found 4 savings accounts, 2 old 401ks from previous jobs, 3 unused credit cards, and a forgotten brokerage account. Total in unnecessary fees across all accounts over the previous year, approximately $420. Time to consolidate. 1 Saturday. Rule 4. 2 credit cards maximum. This rule is not primarily about avoiding debt. It is about clarity. When you use 2 credit cards consistently, you always know where your spending is. When you use 5, you have 5 monthly statements to reconcile, 5 websites to check, 5 sets of rewards to track, and a significantly higher probability that a charge gets overlooked. The 2-card structure. 1 primary card used for everything, selected for the reward structure that matches your actual spending. 1 backup card kept for emergencies and situations where the primary card is not accepted. Pay both in full every month. If a month arrives where paying both in full is not possible, that is not a credit card problem. It is a spending pattern problem that the 2-card simplification makes immediately visible. The visibility function of minimalism is one of its most important and least discussed benefits. A complicated financial system is easy to hide problems inside. A simple one makes problems obvious quickly. Rule 5. The 48-hour rule for non-essential purchases above $100. Impulse purchases are not primarily a willpower problem. They are a timing problem. Research from the Journal of Consumer Research found that a simple delay between deciding to buy and completing the purchase significantly reduces the probability the purchase is made. The desire behind an impulse purchase peaks at the moment of encounter. 24 to 48 hours later, it has often diminished substantially without any active effort. The rule is simple. Any non-essential purchase above $100 gets put on a list and revisited 48 hours later. If you still want it after 48 hours, buy it. This rule does not require you to stop buying things. It requires you to buy them 2 days later instead of immediately. For purchases that are genuinely wanted, nothing changes except the timing. For purchases driven by immediate context, the item in front of you, the salesperson, the limited time framing, the 48 hours removes the pressure and most of them are never completed. A man named Raymond, 30, tracked his 48-hour list for 8 months. Of the 31 items he added to the list, he completed the purchase on 19. The 12 items he did not buy in the cold review represented approximately $1,400 in spending he had been about to make and then chose not to. The rule costs nothing. It returns a percentage of would-have-been discretionary spending to the spending balance with 0 willpower required. Rule 6. 1 financial review per month, not 1 per week. Over-monitoring is a real financial behavior problem. People who check their investment accounts daily make more changes to their portfolios than people who check monthly. Those changes almost universally reduce returns because they are responses to short-term fluctuations that reverse without any action required. People who review their budget weekly become more anxious about small variances and less likely to maintain the system because the emotional cost of constant evaluation is high. The minimalist review schedule is a single 30-minute session at the end of each month. What gets reviewed? Account balances against expected levels. Any unusual transactions. Progress toward the 3 automatic savings targets. 1 forward-looking decision if anything material has changed. What does not get reviewed? Individual spending category performance against budget. Investment account performance. Individual stock or fund positions unless there is a specific rebalancing trigger. The less often you intervene in a financial system that is set up correctly, the better it performs. This is counterintuitive. It is also consistently true across savings behavior research and investment performance data. Rule 7. The One Financial Decision Framework. Every significant financial decision, a major purchase, a new financial product, a change to savings allocations, and investment, should pass through the same single question. Does this move money toward the future or toward the present? This is not a judgment about whether present spending is wrong. It is a clarity tool. Many financial decisions that feel neutral or positive are actually choices to move money from the future to the present without fully acknowledging that is what they are. Buying a new car on a payment plan, when the existing car works adequately, moves money from the future, the compound growth that payment could have produced, to the present. That is not automatically wrong. It is a choice. The framework requires that the choice is made explicitly rather than implicitly. Increasing a 401k contribution by 2% moves money from present to future. Also a choice, also best made explicitly. The framework does not produce a specific answer. It produces clarity about what question is actually being answered. A woman named Naomi, 31, applied this question to a lease decision on a new car. Her current car was 7 years old and fully paid off. The new lease would have cost $420 per month. She asked the question, does this move money toward the future or the present? The answer was clearly toward the present. She decided to keep the current car for 2 more years and redirect $300 per month toward her down payment fund. 36 months later, her down payment fund reached its target. The 2-year car extension produced a direct down payment contribution. The decision was made by a question, not by a complicated cost-benefit analysis. Now let me show you what this looks like assembled as a complete system for someone starting from a complicated financial life. Step 1. On the next payday, set up 3 automatic transfers for the morning the paycheck arrives. Retirement contribution, emergency fund contribution if not yet at target. 1 goal account. Step 2. Cancel every savings account that is not the high-yield emergency fund and the goal account. Move the balances. Close the accounts. Step 3. Identify every old 401k from previous employers. Start the rollover process for each one. This takes time but needs only to be initiated. Step 4. Cancel every credit card not in the primary plus backup structure. If the credit history implications concern you, close the newest ones first and keep the oldest ones open with no balance. Step 5. Set a recurring calendar event for the last Sunday of every month. 30 minutes financial review. The agenda is fixed. Balances, unusual transactions, savings progress, 1 forward-looking decision if needed. The entire setup takes 1 Saturday. The ongoing maintenance takes 30 minutes per month. The 14-category spreadsheet took me most of Sunday every week for 2 years. My net worth barely moved. The minimalist system took 1 Saturday to set up. I have run it for 3 years. The simplicity did not reduce the outcomes, it improved them. Because the right things happen automatically, and the wrong things require more effort than they used to. My name is David. If this gave you something specific to change this weekend, hit the like button now. The next video covers the exact account structure in detail. which bank for the high yield savings account, which brokerage for the IRA, and the one fund inside each account that requires no further decisions. One question for the comments. What is the most complicated part of your current financial system? The piece that takes the most time and produces the least result. Drop it below.